The movie begins in space at the beginning of history, with Lucifer being cast down into hell. He falls down the endless pit and into damnation, left there to be imprisoned. He gets up, but Michael, the archangel, arrives behind him to make sure he stays there. Lucifer tries crawling away, but Michael catches him, puts the chains around him, drags him away from his sword, and chains him to a pillar. Michael still hopes that Lucifer would stop this return, but he'd rather be ruling in hell than become a pawn in heaven, so Michael was forced to leave, but not before Lucifer could claim that one day he would return, but not just as an equal, but as his god. But Michael just spreads his wings and takes off into the sky. In the present day in Italy, Laura finds her teacher, Dr. Russo, and tries to convince him about her paper on the Renaissance paintings and how they don't represent the fights between angels and demons since, to her, they don't exist. He dismisses her arguments and tries to lure her back to his place, but she quickly rejects him. Everyone in the world is eagerly waiting for the display of a very historically important artifact, the cloth that was covering Jesus when he was buried. Outside the cathedral, Father Marconi is greeting the children when Laura shows up and he hands her a security badge. They walk past the line and walk inside, and he takes her to the front where people are being shown all sorts of things about the cloth. Marconi shows her the cloth that has the shroud of Jesus, an imprint of his body, as the bright light came during the resurrection. Marconi then takes her to an old sculpture of Michael defeating the devil. She doesn't believe in any of this, but she is still fascinated by the sculpture. According to him, Michael was the only thing standing between the devil and earth, and he is still scared that Lucifer might come back according to the prophecy. He leaves her alone with the sculpture, and she sits down and starts writing until she hears a noise and gets up to check it out. She doesn't see anything because it's only here in the room, but something is bothering her. Later that night, the exhibit is about to be closed, and a woman makes it inside and follows the people as they go upstairs, but she takes a turn and goes into another room, and the guard doesn't see this. Everyone leaves and the security activates. Laura is still inside, drawing, when an old woman, Liz, creeps up behind her. Laura is drawing the statue but doesn't notice it moving. She also doesn't see Liz behind her. She hears a noise and follows it, but only gets startled by a crow. She is trying to scare the crow away when Liz takes the weapon from the statue behind her. Laura comes back, but only finds the guard who wants to make sure her badge is real, and he leaves. That's when she notices something off about the statue. The sword is gone. She goes over to another room, but the door doesn't open. She still hears weird noises, and when she turns a corner, she sees Liz cutting down one of the guards. Laura chooses to run away, and Liz follows her with the man's head in her hand. Laura reaches the cathedral and tries the door, but it's closed. Liz is right behind her, but Laura is missing because she's hiding in the confessional. Liz comes up with the head and uses it to bypass the security system. As Laura watches, Liz is trying to break the glass when Marconi comes in and yells at her to stop. She just keeps going and he goes at her, but she knocks him down, and as he tries to pray and expel the evil spirit inside her, Liz just stabs him in the chest. A car soon arrives with goons and guns, while Laura is still hiding, but Liz is in a hurry. They take the shroud and are about to leave when Liz finally notices Laura, but she doesn't want her killed and they take her instead. Meanwhile, Marconi is begging Saint Michael to take his body to defeat the evils, and he gets his wish and a divine light comes from above and goes into him through the sword. As the car was about to leave, Marconi, now Michael, stood in front of them. They try to run him over, but he steps away and chases them through the streets on foot. He somehow catches up to them using the angel's powers, but he falls over, and the car speeds away because he can barely handle all the power that comes with Michael. Later at church, a boy is playing his violin while his parents watch on along with the crowd. He's doing a great job and everyone loves it until Dr. Laurent comes out and tells the crowd about his work in resurrections. They have found the remains of history's great people, and now he has developed the technology to bring these people back from the dead through children. But he still wants to keep resurrecting these historical people with the help of these people who he wants to pay. The kid playing the violin is the clone of Antonio Vivaldi himself and was paid for by his new parents. The next resurrected child is the creator of the most recognizable art pieces in history. Tonight's child up for auction is none other than the clone of Michelangelo. The price quickly climbs into the millions and is sold for 90 million. Liz drops by, and Laurent sees her and they go out together. They take the car and arrive at the meeting place. The goons walk in ahead, and Laurent is very excited to get his hands on the shroud because they are going to use it to resurrect Lucifer. Laura wakes up with her hand in chains and with other girls. One of them, Sophia, is crying and praying, but when they try to make her stop, she just screams louder and louder until Laura calms her down eventually. She also meets Brenda and Alina, who are also tied up with her. But soon, some men come in and forcefully inject Laura with something and take a picture of her. Back at the cathedral, Marconi stumbles back into the museum and takes a keycard while the other priests watch the footage of Liz taking the shroud. Marconi comes in and watches them looking at the footage of him getting killed. They get shocked when they see him, but he doesn't let them call the ambulance because he is more worried about the shroud and why its protectors aren't there anymore. The protector Vincini was taken off his duty because they thought his visions of the devil coming back to Earth made him sound mentally unstable. He then gives them Laura's card and they are puzzled that he doesn't remember her. He is acting weird and just takes a coat off the rack and walks out. He finds his car and it's not a great one, but he has no choice, so he takes it and is followed by the crow. Michael is driving down the road and finds Marconi's medication and takes one for the headache. He finds a song that he likes and keeps driving down the dark road. Meanwhile, at the lab, Laurent is guiding the others on how to properly handle the shroud. The next morning, Mikhail makes it to his destination and climbs the mountain through the ruined door and up into the small church-looking house. He gets to the door but gets stopped by Vincini with a gun. He is still very upset that the church kicked him out for his visions of the devil, but then he sees that this is no ordinary priest, this is Michael, the angel. He's here to retrieve the shroud. Inside, Vincini knows that it was an old woman who took it because he can see the cathedral from up here, and that was the exact location where Lucifer fell to Earth, and the people who work there are trying to release the devil. Michael is sure that Lucifer can't escape, but according to Vincini, Lucifer will eventually shake off his chains and he will come to take Earth with his demons. Two ancient creatures are tasked to bring him out, one of them is Liz, and the other is the beast of the ground. Vincini has ancient scrolls that show a drawing that depicts that the devil can only be born of innocence. Lucifer can't control his power or rage, so he can't possess a mortal body like the other angels. But there is one body that could hold him, the body of Jesus. They want to use the shroud to reconstruct Jesus' body so that Lucifer can possess it. That's when Vincini learns that Michael came on his own, not sent by God. Meanwhile, at the lab, Laura and the others are trying to free themselves, but they don't know why they are being kept prisoner. Laura's husband and child were killed, and the others already know that they won't make it out of this. As Mikhail is driving with Vincini, the news of the shroud being stolen is told on the radio. At the same time, Laurent is alone in the lab when he finally gets Jesus' DNA right. This sends shockwaves across the ground and down to hell, letting Lucifer finally escape from his chains. Liz thinks Laura's the one to bring Jesus to life. Meanwhile, the girls have come up with a plan to escape, and as soon as the men come to take them, Alina pretends to sleep and the others start to fight, but more men come in and take them away, except Sophia. They put them on stretchers and take them to the lab as they kick and scream. Laura gets injected by something, and that's when Liz comes into the lab and sees the procedure being done on them. She calms her down by telling her that she's being impregnated by the embryo of Jesus himself. Meanwhile, Vincini and Michael are in the forest when Vincini shoots the crow because he notices it following them. He gives him a torch and a gun to help, and Michael heads down the dark tunnel alone. He lights the torch and proceeds down the tunnel. Somewhere in the city, a group of masked men are watching as the girls, dressed in white, are chained to a pillar. They are trying to escape, but the people put lots of lights on them. Things go quiet, and the girls hear something clicking from a distance. The door opens and a monster walks out toward them. It gets to the girls and grabs Brenda, but goes around to Laura instead and spews some flames coming from its face. It takes them both back into the door, with Liz shouting in excitement because they are close to finding the Holy Mother. At the same time, Michael's going down the tunnel while the girls are being put in a cage by the beast, with men in cloaks surrounding them. The beast turns the wheel, lowering the girls into a pit of fire. Lucifer finally leaves his form, leaving his crown on the ground. The girls fall through the hole until the beast grabs the wheel, stopping them. But they are not alone. They hear something and try to look, but that's when demons come at them, attacking from all sides until a fiery smoke comes and tries to get itself inside of Brenda, but her body can't handle the power and it comes back out, killing her. One of the demons then takes the body out, leaving only Laura there, and Lucifer's smoke goes inside her this time. Miraculously, she can handle the power and the demons disappear, leaving her all alone. Liz waits outside for the news, and the door finally opens up and Laura walks out, being declared as the chosen one by Liz as the others cheered. Later on, Liz takes her to the glass prison again and tells her that she has Jesus inside her now, and she leaves her inside the glass case. At the same time, Michael is still in the cave and goes down deeper with a gun in hand. He gets to a door and can't open it, so he just shoots the lock and gets himself inside. He goes up the stairs and finds some guards, but the door makes a noise, they notice it and turn around, but he gets the drop on them. His gun doesn't shoot, so the guard shoots him, but he pulls the bullet out and knocks them both out. He dresses like a guard and sneaks into the lab with no one noticing. He finally finds the shroud and folds it up to take it back, but that's when he notices the screen with Laura. Suddenly, Laurent comes in, yelling at the guard until he notices the shroud missing, but Michael puts him down on the table and destroys the equipment when he goes outside. Laurent calls the guards, but the room explodes, keeping them from reaching Michael, who goes out the door. Laura was struggling with a man when Michael came to save her, but to her he was Marconi, and she was glad to see him again. He then hears Lucifer calling for him, and he can sense it. He tells her that he's Michael, and this gets her suspicious, and she runs out the door without him. She is trying to escape, and he is right behind her and catches up to her before the other guards can catch her. She pulls his gun to force him to tell her, but he just gives it up easily that he's Michael the Archangel. He's trying to disinfect the bullet wound, but the pain hurts him and can't understand how humans can live in these bodies. She tells him what they did to her, like putting an embryo inside her, but she denies that she might be pregnant. They both leave the storage room, but Liz comes in with her crew and learns that the shroud is gone from Laurent. She knows Michael is here and they find him and shoot, but he manages to escape, but she stops the shooter since she wants to keep Laura safe. Michael and Laura are in the tunnel, but something in her stomach hurts, but they have to keep running. The beast from before is chasing them and tries to grab her, but Michael shoots him and takes her back. He checks the opening with a flare and thinks it's safe, but gets ambushed by the beast. Michael hides the shroud and tells Laura to stay where she is. That's when the beast comes to attack him. Guns don't help, so Michael jumps on its back, but the beast is too hot and powerful, so Michael falls. Laura is caught by the guards, who take her back the other way, while Michael is left with the beast. Liz orders them to take her back. Laura threatens to kill the baby, but Liz warns her that things will become worse if she does that. Down in the pits, Michael wakes up with a chain on his neck, and in the meantime, Laura is tied down in the bed so she can't escape anymore. Liz warns her to stop and get herself ready, since she is being expected by someone special. Michael is trying to free himself, and after using his powers, he finally manages to get himself free from the chains. The guards are looking for the shroud and don't notice that Michael is free and is opening the door that leads down to hell, but he doesn't notice the beast coming from behind him. As it comes charging, Michael just jumps inside to avoid being caught. Inside her womb, the baby is starting to develop, and Liz is watching her closely. Meanwhile, Michael has reached hell and gets attacked by a demon, but it runs away quickly. He sees the crows and decides to go to the spot where he left Lucifer, but he's not there. He doesn't notice the crow demons behind him who have come to keep him here in hell. One of them is Mammon, who tells Michael that Lucifer is up on Earth and they will close the gate, keeping Michael prisoner in hell. He is powerless in hell because of the human body, so it is easy to trap him. Outside, Laurent checks the baby and Laura can't help but smile at it. Liz is very happy with the healthy child, but it comes out of the screen like a monster. Thankfully, this was just a nightmare and she woke up. Liz is there acting creepily, wanting to know about her dreams. Liz tells her a story about a warrior who stood up against a tyrant. They both had equal power, but the tyrant wanted submission from the warrior, but he was sent to prison and will soon be free to fight for them again. Laura doesn't care about these stories, but Liz has to stop her and be serious about how real everything is, and wants her to be serious about being at her best for the baby. Laura doesn't care since they're keeping her prisoner, but Liz promises her freedom once she gives birth, Until then, she is under the control of Liz. Down in hell, Michael is chained up just like Lucifer, and that's when some people with spears ask if he is an angel or demon. These are the kids that were stolen for Lucifer but couldn't make it, so they are now stuck in hell. They don't believe that he's Michael, so he asks for his sword, and he will prove it, but they couldn't find the sword. That's when demons come and chase the kids, and even take one of them, and Michael couldn't help. At the same time, Laura is getting more and more pregnant. They are still keeping her in the glass box when the smoke comes out of her and takes the shape of a snake. It wraps around her and goes into her ear and tells her that her life will finally have meaning. She thinks Lucifer killed her family, but he had nothing to do with it. She hates Liz, and he offers to let Laura kill Liz if it will keep her happy. Meanwhile, Liz is staring at her sleep and Lucifer is inside of the baby. Laura's face is getting worse because of the evil entity inside her. She dreams of having her baby. Laura is acting very weird, and the lights suddenly go out and only noises can be heard when the man is killed by her. She goes down the hallway and stops a guard from catching her because she's finally accepted her evil side as she crushes the man's head. She then realizes what she has done and starts to cry because Lucifer is the one making her do this, so she goes to kill it, but gets chased by the guards. She locks herself in a storage room and finds some chemicals, and it tries to stop her from drinking, but she manages to open the jug and drink the chemicals in hopes that it will kill the baby. Liz arrives at the door, and as Laura passes out, she breaks the door and finds her on the ground with an empty bottle of poison. Liz is angry since Laura is trying to kill their only hope after thousands of years of torment. Lucifer is too powerful to be kept under control by Laura, and she will lose soon, but it already takes control and crawls over to Liz and slams her to the ground just to show her who is really in charge here. He appreciates her loyalty, but doesn't like her comparing herself to him. The plan is to close the tunnel to hell with explosives after his army rises from it. Things aren't going to plan because the child loves Laura, and she doesn't love Lucifer, so things aren't going as well as they had hoped, so he tells Liz to kill Laura once he's born. That's when Laurent comes in and they go to help Laura, and Liz is upset that she wasn't chosen to carry the child. The next day, Vincini is praying to Michael, who is in hell, while the baby is growing inside Laura. They take Laura on a stretcher back to the glass cage to make sure she doesn't escape. She's given oxygen and shaved, but she is still awake. Lucifer leaves her body and goes down to hell to get back into hell as a demon. He finds Michael chained to his spot and laughs as he sees his brother in his place. He wants Michael to join him to lead the army to fight God and be free, but Michael is loyal to God. He tells him the plan to take control of the child of God's body as an act of revenge and leaves. The kids come back and try to free him, despite some not agreeing to help, but all he needs is his sword. The crow demons are coming, so they must run. One of the kids drags the sword and they get it to Michael, but Mammon gets there in time and offers to spare them if they give him the sword. But they give it to Michael, who returns to his original form, and the demons run scared. He promises to return and free the kids, and he goes back to Earth. Michael retrieves the shroud and goes to the cathedral to free Laura. He takes down one guard and takes the gun. He gets to the glass prison and tries to call Laura, but Lucifer has control of her, but he wants to get her out anyway and pushes the pod out onto the halls and locks the door. He opens the pod and tries to communicate with Laura that her child is the key to beating Lucifer, but he gets pushed onto the wall. Lucifer walks out and tells him that the baby is coming soon. It grabs Michael and asks him to worship him, but when Michael refuses, he sticks a finger in his neck while he talks about killing God and ruling heaven and earth. Michael knows that the child is too powerful for even Lucifer, and that gets him angry. Hearing this, Lucifer tries to stop it from being born, but he is not strong enough. Lucifer knocks him out and goes out the door to Liz and tells her to kill the baby, but she thinks this is a trick by Laura and sends her back to be detained. The next morning, the crowds of Lucifer's followers gather to witness the birth of the new Jesus. The baby is born, but they take it away from Laura. The beast then opens the hole and lets Laura fall to hell. Outside, the crowd is in a circle when Liz comes out with the baby to offer it to Lucifer. They all kneel to their supposed new king, and the beast uses his weapon to kill all the people who run off in a panic, but he kills them all one by one as Liz watches in happiness. Meanwhile, Michael wakes up and finds himself trapped, so he shoots the glass to escape. At the same time, the Beast has finished all the people and Laurent gets to hold the baby, but doesn't see the Beast coming up behind him and striking him down. Liz is taking the baby inside when Michael finds Laura dangling in the pit and he pulls her up. She finds Liz at the car and takes her down to get to her baby, and Michael tells Liz that this is the only child that could imprison Lucifer. Then a portal opens in hell to take the demons to Earth, and they are about to fly out when Michael is trying to close the opening, but the Beast is there to stop him. That's when Michael spots the bombs and blows up the cave along with the entire cathedral. As the movie ends, Laura and Vincini come to church with the shroud and give it back to the authorities to put it into the exhibit. Michael goes back to hell to save the kids as he promised. And Laura is raising her kid while she is being watched by Liz, who still hopes Lucifer will escape the child. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.